Go.
So,
And we are back. Five, episode five
yes,
of season
episode
two.
5.
Quantum Alchemist. I am your host, Mr. Alchemistic, but you can call me B, and I'm joined by my very gracious co-host, Mr. Quantum himself, Alex Romero-Vingian.
What's up, everybody? What's up, B? It's great to be back. It is March. I was about to say February. It
Oof,
is March. It is
bro,
March 5th.
dude,
It is March 5th.
the days
Dude,
are melting into each other, like literally, and Murphy's Law is in full effect in both of our lives. And yeah, it's a challenge. Life's a challenge, and we never stop evolving. We never stop facing challenges, and the higher we elevate, the more challenges we seem to face. And we just gotta take it on the chin and smile
that's right.
because
The show must continue, folks.
God chooses the strongest warriors to fight the biggest battles, and we are the warriors.
Yep.
Unfortunately, sometimes it's tough. It is a tough life that we have found ourselves leading. It's not always easy to walk this path, and Murphy's Law, like I said, does come into play. And we have
Especially
been,
on the top.
yeah, I mean, walking the white path is a lot like kicking water uphill. Uh, we have obviously the vision we've been given by the divine. We're walking this path, and we know it's coming. We're walking in faith, and how it's telling Alex in the pre-talk. At this point, it's like uh, almost like arm wrestling with God, right? Like because I have this very intense internal dialogue with the Creator. I've activated my temple, and I feel every day I'm doing these rituals and this prayers and this manifesting and just communicating with the Creator. I touch the trees and I work with the streams of water in the forest and really connect to the sun and all the elements just like an alchemist should. And I have this very like personal relationship with God. I feel like God's my best friend. So it might sound weird to a lot of people, but it's kind of the nature of this whole game. Once you break through this veil of consciousness and you realize you're a part of the creator and the creator is a part of you, you
Right.
get this really personal relationship with God. So like um but you get tested, right? There's the initiation process. There's all this see how far you've come, right? See if you're the person that you say you are. God constantly tests you and observes you and you feel it, right? You feel the test, you understand that you're being tested and you accept it. But there's like certain levels, like I told Alex, I know he knows that I know he knows that I know he knows, right? It's like this deep
Infinity.
to infinity, but it doesn't make it any easier to deal with these challenges, right? Because we
Right.
we've dedicated ourselves to this divine mission. We know it's coming. We know the things that we're working towards are going to materialize because it's been put in our vision. And we're taking these inspired steps and we keep moving forward. But
Yep.
boy, oh boy,
Yeah, but
like I said,
to that point, you're telling me earlier, and I'm forgive me for jumping in here, but you're also like, I learned my lessons, I figured out where I'm here, now we're here, like now what's next? It's like, yeah, just like we were talking about, yeah, he knows that you know that he knows that you know that you know that he knows, and back and forth. But it's like now that you know and you're there, stay there,
mm,
right? That's
that
the
was the
challenge.
best, dude. That was the best advice you gave me. And that's creator, that's God working through you to give me that message. Like, just stay there, dude. Like, I know you're there. We've already died. Like, this is the death process, right? This is part of the rebirth. This is the butterfly phase of You know, your old caterpillar habits are going to try to come back to the butterfly, but you got to keep being a butterfly, right? Once you get to the butterfly phase, there is no going back to the caterpillar. You've died, you know, and you've become born again. You're renewed in your mind and your spirit,
Right.
and you just got to be a butterfly. And there are going to be tests to see if you the caterpillar tests are going to come, and your old ways, your old, you know, like we talked about last episode. You know, I quit nicotine. Right, I'm still on this 3 weeks in now. I haven't smoked or vaped or anything, and it was felt like for the longest time this was something in my subconscious I need to overcome. Right, it's just this addiction, this morbid attachment, as Manly P. Hall would say. Morbid attachments is something you have to release, and it really felt like my intuition was telling me this is your block, right? This is the block that's keeping you in limbo. This is the block that, like, once you relieve this block, then here comes the floodgates, right? And then now I'm 3 weeks in, waiting for the floodgates, and
Right.
this is just the Murphy's Law thing, right? It's just like the impatience starts to creep in, or like, all right,
Right.
I did my part, God. You know, I'm not asking for $10 million here. I just need some reassurances that, like, you know, I held my end of the bargain up. But this is just what another test, right? That's part of the caterpillar shit. That's old.
I
That's old Brandon's starting to creep in and being like, well, where's that
I love that.
manifestation?
I love that though, because you know what though? Because you know why? I love it because you are going on blind faith, and we fail to realize, like, we think that, and I'm just pulling this download right now, that we think that time runs linear, and that time is like time is infinite. Time is non-relevant, right? Time is, we're living in the past, in the present, and in the future all at the same time, and it's a really difficult concept to wrap our heads around. But the universe is far older than we are by eons, right? We think about 3 weeks and we're like, dude, where's that manifestation, bro?
Yeah, I was promised that if I quit nicotine, that this shit was gonna come rushing in. So where the fuck is it? You know,
You
and that's
know?
just my human side. My human, like you said, the human side that's caught in the body, that's looking for the reward, which is the wrong way to approach it, right? Like I know this. I know this. I know it's the wrong way to approach it. It's the wrong mindset to have of like, all right, God, I stopped nicotine. Where's my fucking reward? You know, that's the human side of Brandon coming through. Like of like, all right, I thought I did what I was supposed to do. So why am I still in this limbo energy of like, all right, and like I told Alex in the pre-talk, like it's not that I'm not having faith, right? I know it's coming. Like it's not that doubt's creeping in. It's not that I'm not being faithful. It's not that I suddenly don't believe anymore. I don't think it's gonna happen, or like I think all my fucking dreams are bullshit. It's not any of that stuff. There's no doubt in my mind that it's happening, but it's like I'm just being a little bit impatient for like, all right, like I did my duty, right? I held up my end of the bargain, and I sacrificed a lot.
You you you,
So
you want to you want to hear some funny stuff? So we didn't talk about this in the pre-talk, but the last time we had this podcast, I was in Vegas. And whatever, however you want to, if you want to know how I got there, watch the last episode because those numbers suck. Whoever did watch it, we appreciate you. Whoever
11.
did, yeah, right. Go back and watch it. All right, guys. Anyway, um, to that point, I was in Vegas and I figured, well, since I'm already there, I may as well like try and look for work, right? Because I was already there. And so, just out of curiosity, I started like checking out some spots, and I ended up getting this job as a promoter for like a bar, right? Which is great because I want for people to understand, like, when you're in alignment with things, like, things will come, right? When you're not in alignment with things, like, things will disappear, right? It was really easy to get the job. And the job, let me tell you something, whoever does those jobs out on the Vegas Strip, promoting, passing out cards and stuff like that, bro, you guys are fucking gangster. Because that shit is rough. Okay. Anyway, so I did that, right? I'm like, yeah, like how hard could it be to get people to just show up, right? Passed out like 200 cards, a bunch of people. Bro, they tell me I got one person, right? So I'm like, apparently I suck at promoting bars, can't get no one to walk in the doors. But you know what though? That's not doing God's work. And I thought about it as I was there. I'm like, you know what? The reality of the matter is like I was just having fun. I was just, people were there having a good time and understand, guys, like and I was watching this podcast a little bit a little bit about it was the guy, if you ever seen the movie like Fast and the Furious, it was that bald Mexican looking dude named Hector, who's in all the Fast and the Furious movies, right? The annoying Mexican guy. Well, um he was in a podcast talking about God, and doing God's work, and how people in Hollywood don't talk about God because it'll affect them getting work, and how, like, we go back to like walking the knowing the path and walking the path, right? Like, I know that promoting alcohol to people is not in their best interest, right? But what happens is, like, I got stuck in a situation where I needed to get out of it, and it was the first thing that became available so I can get some quick cash, right? And boom, in and out. But at the same time, I thought, like, you know what, man, this is like totally not in alignment with who I am and with what I believe in, like in any way, shape, or form. But I was like, you know what, I'm out here in Vegas, and I started thinking, I'm like, for one, I started thinking like for what I want to do for the podcast, for like building the quantum ecosystem and the quantum network, I'm like, this is my perfect audience. These people are like need this information, need the stuff that we're talking about. Cause yeah, like it's okay to go out there and have fun, but within reason, with moderation, right? A lot of us that do these things, like a lot of the people there, they're degenerates, like degenerates, and it's like, and there's no like there's lack of consciousness in like what we're doing, and how we're degrading ourselves, really. And I thought about it, I'm like, man, in every corner in Vegas, there's like a liquor store or there's a bar. It's like, wow, there's so much alcohol consumption in Las Vegas. I'm like, what is the death rate over here? I'm like, are people just drop? They must be dropping dead like all the time here because, fuck, I've never seen so much alcohol. And so, like, all the stuff that we're talking about, like, man, you know, in doing that work, it spawned some ideas. I'm like, you know what, man, I'm probably gonna go back and I'm gonna get one of those big signs that you could just wear, and there's a list of questions. Oh man, it's gonna mess this up, but I feel like it's important to like I want to bring up what this is because it's gonna go blank for a second here, guys, and I apologize. But the questions that I wanted to say, like on that marketing thing, on that billboard that I want to wear, because I want to go out there and promote my own brand, my own network. Of course, I'm gonna do it for a little bit, and then I'll eventually get someone else to do it. But it'll say something to the extent of, "Don't complicate life. Missing somebody? Call. Want to meet up? Invite. Want to be understood? Explain. Have questions? Ask. Don't like something? Say it. Like something? State it. Want something? Ask for it. Love someone? Tell them. Keep your life simple." And I wanted to put a QR code that directs people to go to register for the network so they can become part of the community. And um so I mean, there's just no shortage of these things that keep happening that are just like constant reminders, like I'm on a mission here, like I have a job to do, and like no one gives a fuck what I'm going through. Straight the hell out, like straight up, no one gives a fuck. Like everyone's going through shit, no one gives a fuck.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? But I have a job to do, and it's not even about me. Like, yes, to some degree it is about me, but it's also about you. And it's about you, B. And it's about the things that we're doing together. It's about the things that we stand for. It's about the things that we represent. And I go back to like that job that I had, which was just a reminder of like, hey, like there's other ways to do things. Like, yes, there's all these other aspects of life that exist, but it's not what what exists, it's how they're being used. And and I could say use the same tools of the devil, of the negative entities, and go out there and do something for the right reasons, and invite people into a vibrant community that's going to foster, you know, um, a better lifestyle, and not necessarily shun people that have, that like to indulge, but like more of like teaching people self-control and knowing that when to draw the line and when too much is too much, and like I know I need to learn a lot of these lessons, like, and I feel like that's why it's a great place to start, because a lot of people go there for, you know, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, right? So it's like you're going into another dimension. You're trying to escape your reality, wherever your reality is.
Well, nobody is more in search of something to fill the hole than the people that are looking for that type of escape, right? The people that are looking, I know this because I, for the longest time, I spent my 21st birthday in Vegas, right? Like a lot of my adult life has been spent loving and wanting to get back to Vegas because I just like the lifestyle, right? Like it's just something that there's something about Vegas that I just enjoy. Which is kind of if you like listen to me on this podcast and the things that spiritually I'm into now, you wouldn't understand. You would think that that's off character, right? Is like this dude is talking about all these spiritual concepts and all this, but Vegas for the longest time was like kind of my escape, right? It was a place that I always like. I have a lot of friends in Vegas. I was going to Vegas with talking to strangers, my other podcast, talking to people. Like I just loved the environment of Las Vegas because of the free for all type of nature of it. Like but I realized now it was because I was looking for that, what I found now inside of myself, right? Is like I was looking for that escape from the norm when what I was really looking for was within me. So the people that are in Vegas aren't as far from redemption or far from finding themselves as a lot of people may think, even of themselves going to Vegas. They're like, oh, I'm going to Sin City to try to do it's like I feel like the people who are the closest to the breakthrough are the ones who indulge the most, right? Because that's where God is really trying to find people. God's not trying to find people in the church.
That's
God's trying
right.
to find people in places like Las Vegas, right?
Right.
Because you're at this state of degradation where you've consumed and like we were talking about this the other episode. We were talking about the lover of pleasure and the lover of knowledge, right? Will never be satisfied. The real Rumi quote: the two people will never be satisfied: the lover of knowledge and the lover of pleasure. The pleasure is a hole that will never be filled, right? So the person who is looking to fill the hole with pleasure is the closest to the breakthrough, is the closest to God, I think, in a lot of ways, because you're either going to find God or you're going to find the devil.
Right.
That's as close to the black and white as you get, is like trying to fill the hole with pleasure, is like because you're searching for something. You're searching for something beyond yourself. You're beyond the daily whatever. You're trying to fucking mask a pain so you're looking for pleasure to mask the pain, right? And
Right.
that's the balance. That's the scales, right? You're trying to balance out your pain with pleasure. So you're looking for something to break through that pain, and the breakthrough comes when you heal it. You heal the pain, but a lot of us are running from that healing, so we tend to grab for pleasure. Um, so that's a long-winded way of saying, like, of course, like Vegas is the perfect place to reach people with this information because they are the ones more so than going to a church. Because like we've talked about this a lot, like the people who are going to come up against our message the most are the ideologically inclined, the people who are stuck in the church message that don't understand that the church is actually deterring them from Christ, right? Is pushing them away from God and putting them in this ideological box where they're not really fully grasping what Christ was really saying. People who are going to be most receptive are the ones that Christ dined with sinners, right? He dined with the tax collectors, he dined with the sinners and the prostitutes, and those are the people he was trying to reach, right? Because he knew those are the people that are going to be receptive. The people who already think they're there, the Pharisees in the temple that ended up killing him, are the ones that are going to fucking come up against you the hardest because they already think they have it. This is the problem I
Mhm.
have with the ideology of Christianity is you can come to them with this message of Christ from a place that they don't understand because it's not from the church, but they will reject it because they've been programmed by the church to disregard anything that the church doesn't say. That's the ego driven nature of the ideology. Is like this is something I've seen so much online of like because I consume a lot of this type of spiritual knowledge. Like Bill Donahue is somebody I've talked about a lot. He breaks down the scriptures and talks about the mystic symbolism and this and that. You go in the comments and it's all these Christians rejecting the message. Oh no, this is evil and like trying to divert people away from what this truth that this guy is trying to put out there. So it's like you see it. You see how the ideology has captured people to the point where they're on this pedestal, and this is what you see it. It's like spiritual ego, right? These people are on this pedestal demonizing this message, right? Because they think that they already have it, and it's the ego. It's just once you break through the ego and understand what it is and what it's trying to do, the shadow, you see it, right? And you see it the way it functions. And I have a really good quote. Um, I know I've been talking a lot, Alex. I don't want to like dominate the episode, but this this is about the ways, the two ways of esoteric knowledge. This is from Dion Fortune of Practical Occultism in Daily Life. Let us realize, first of all, that there are two ways in which esoteric knowledge can be used in order to better ourselves materially. It is possible to influence the minds and wills of our fellow men so that they shall give us what we want. It is also possible to draw directly from the great cosmic reservoirs of undifferentiated force. The former way is the way of black magic. The latter is the way of white magic. An operation then passes the first test when it does no harm to any other creature. For it is for if it is axiomatic that we have no right to interfere with the free will and responsibility of any soul, even for his own good, save in an emergency, how much less have we the right to try to influence anyone for our own good? Jesus said, I am come that they might have life and that they might have it more abundantly. This should be the keynote of our operations to secure better material conditions by mental and spiritual means. We should seek the spiritual sources of life and drink therefrom. This we do by means of meditation performed upon the great unmanifest, the source of all being, realizing its infinity, omnipotence, and eternal duration. The source of our being is in this ever outpouring infinite energy. The amount of this energy we receive is limited solely by our capacity for realization. If we can increase our realization and get rid of our inhibitions, we correspondingly increase our intake of cosmic energy. And this energy is transmuted within our being into all the different forms of activity that go to make up human life. If our vital energy goes up, every factor in our nature is quickened and intensified. The artist paints with new power and inspiration. The insight of the scientist is redoubled. The skill and strength of the manual worker are increased. The intelligence and happiness of a child, the beauty and the charm of a woman, whatever we are becomes intensified. This, in fact, is the real basis of spiritual healing, the true spiritual healing, the vis meditrix naturae, which is the only real creative agent. To sum that up,
Well,
it's the this goes to intention, our purity of our hearts and our intentions and our actions bring energy to manifest our the will of the creator, right? Like when right action brings the right energy, and this is
right.
goes back to, you know, I was talking about Murphy's Law and all the, it's like the things that I'm going through as far as the limbo phase is like, I know, I have no doubt. I know that my energy is right action. I know that the energy that I'm being receiving through my painting, through my the will of my creation is through right action. So I know that the vision is coming, and the tests are just bear witness to the fact. A lot of people would get discouraged with these tests and think maybe I'm not going the right way. Why is it not coming? This and that. But no, it's like the fact that the tests persists tell me that I'm on the right path. Does that make sense? Like
Right.
if the
Right.
tests cease, then I know I'm on the wrong path,
Hmm.
right? When
Right.
the
When it becomes
resistance
easy. When it becomes
when the
easy.
resistance goes away, then I know that I'm on the dark path, because the
Right.
dark path is the easy way, right?
Right. Right.
Like and this is what it's talking about between white and black magic, like trying to get somebody to do my will. That's the black path, that's the dark path.
Right. Well,
When
I do want to add
yeah,
well, go ahead, finish your
no,
thought.
no, go ahead, say what you're gonna say.
What I was gonna say was, a few years ago, something interesting happened. I came home and I found my bedroom door was open, and it looked like I had been maybe not robbed, but like someone went through my stuff for sure. And I go and then I look around and I couldn't find my research, and I think I may have told a few handful of people this. I never reported it or anything because like obviously it sounds fucking crazy. Like no one's gonna believe this. But I looked around, I couldn't find my research that I had done, and I find on my dresser. I had a boom box. I have a boom box, and I wear a chain with a cross. But like I'm gonna try and see if like I can bring this up because I have that background stuff going on. But you guys will see here the cross I wear, and on my boom box I found this little boy sucker right here just hanging on there. And for those of you who don't know, that's the Eye of Horus. And here, let me separate a little bit. That's the Eye of Horus. Okay. Uh-oh. Oh, look at that. Look familiar? Is that is that a coincidence? So I have no idea where it came from. I have no idea. And even to this day, like, this is a period of time in my life where I was trying to go on a search for knowledge. I was trying to understand a lot of things about who I am, who we are as a species, as humanity, what's our purpose for being on this planet. And like the Eye of Horus was, was kind of gifted to me. I don't know by who or what. And I like to say that there's some special force or some special entity or energy out there that's kind of taking care of me. And I kind of feel that way. I feel like, like when when you're on a mission, and you become like aware of that, I think that really weird things like this can happen to you. Um and uh yeah, like ever since all this stuff happened, you know, a lot of weird things have happened. Like this thing in Vegas happened where like I did this for one day and it was short lived, and I realized I'm like, oh, I don't need to be doing that because I got a phone call from a client in LA that said, "Hey, I need you to do something for me." And I have to be really careful because I can't talk about all of it, but let's just say he's going to have a very important meeting in a month, And if you like, and there's this term that that the public might start hearing really soon, and that is make education great again. So if you all start hearing about mega, um, there's some correlation between the people that I'm working with and the project I'm working on now, which is ironic because I just left that bar thing in Vegas to come back to LA to do this mega thing. And it's in alignment with my UCAT project, which is the Universal Credential Accounting Technology paper that I wrote, which leads me to the next thing, which is for those of you who have been watching along this whole time, you know, talk about Murphy's Law. My website, which looks like shit, by the way. I'm not thrilled about how it looks, but I have the opportunity now to work on it, make it better. The payments system that I have on the website has been shut down. GoDaddy Payments actually froze my account, and they're holding on to like four. Wait, I'm sorry, they're holding on to about $600, $600 of my money, and then also Square is holding on to just under $1,000, like 990, just under $1,000, and it's like and they're asking for all this documentation and paperwork, which takes time and like energy and effort. And it's like, they really make it impossible. Like for any startup business owner who's starting a business off the ground from like nothing, I know exactly what you're going through. It is really, really tough dealing with these processing companies to try and get credit card payments and stuff like that. But that being said, uh, we're gonna be able to. I'm gonna have a whole new website set up here pretty soon. I'm gonna rebrand the whole Plank LLC. I'm gonna be focusing more on cloud GPU, um, uh, cloud GPU access, and also cloud mining for X1 specifically. I'm going to be offering mining contracts. So if anyone wants to buy and purchase mining contracts for X1, and they can purchase blocks of hours, which I will be posting onto the website in the store once I have that up and running, probably by the end of this weekend. So please keep checking back with the website because I plan on having that up by the end of the weekend. And yeah, I'm gonna start selling mining contracts for X1 because it looks like X1's starting to make a presence. You go on X.com and you look at the bottom of the center of X.com, you're gonna see there's a Grok X1 on there. So that just lets me know that we're getting really close to the launch of the X1 platform. I got wind from the developers on X1 that they're looking at doing a mining pool for X1. So until they're able to do a mining pool, what I'm going to do is I'm going to offer my own personal mining contracts, which what'll end up happening is I'll create a dashboard on the website so that either that or the X1 application already has a dashboard which allows you to see what the GPUs mining your address are doing. So by me creating the mining contracts, all you have to do is check your wallet address and you'll be able to see exactly, how many GPUs are mining and what your rate is and how many you've mined. I'm just doing the administration of that for you. And I'll simplify the process. And yeah, just we're gonna have all that stuff figured out right now, because those different merchant processors are really screwing me. We talk about Murphy's Law, things that can go wrong will go wrong, right? Came back from Vegas, a client had supposedly, a check for me for 5K, got back from Vegas to LA, no check. So yeah, Murphy's Law in effect again. Like, can I be pissed? Of course, I'm furious, but I can't let like I'm at a point now where like I'm pissed, but it's also hilarious because it's so funny that of course the most um illogical possible outcome to happen is the one that happened, and I can't even be mad because it's irony. And so it's like, is it gonna still happen? Sure, but I'm gonna have to work for it a little bit, you know? And like what's gonna happen is I can two things can happen. I can get pissed and I could throw a tantrum and throw my energy around and make it even worse, or I can just be like, all right, cool, like this is the universe throwing a test my way. And you know what? The cool thing is I've been preparing for these tests the last 7 years of my life because I'm putting my blood, sweat, and tears of everything I've worked for on into this. And the cool thing is that I'm being put an opportunity to like rebuild my own brand, my own identity, and be able to capitalize and monetize it while also presenting to an investor my new identity that he's now going to have the opportunity to not only invest in, but to give me top premium dollar for it because this is the new me. This is the new what I'm capable of doing. And guess what? What I was able to do for you before is not going to cost you more money. So when we come back, we'll talk about all the pluses.
Yes, sir. And
Let me ask you, did you get a chance to mine for Bitcoin like me and regret not doing it today? Yeah, that was me. I had a chance to mine Bitcoin, but I didn't do it. How about Ethereum? Did you have a chance to mine for Ethereum and didn't do that? Regret it today, like me? Yeah. Let me ask you a question. Have you heard of X1, Zenium, XNM, the new ecosystem that's about to go live using the Solana virtual machine? No? Remember of a time when you didn't hear about Bitcoin either, but here we are today and Bitcoin is over $100,000? Well, here I am telling you today about Zenium, XNM, X1, which is about to go live. And if you don't know how to mine for it, it's okay, because I figured it out. So just go to the website, plank.fyi, planck.fyi, and get some credits, and I will mine it for you and send it to your wallet address. No biggie. All right, so don't just sit there on the sidelines like you did the last 2 times or 3 times. Get on that computer, go get some credits, and I'll take care of it for you, okay guys? Don't forget, X1 is the future. Bitcoin was, you'd think that Bitcoin is the future, but it's not. Bitcoin was something that led us to what comes after that. It's not Ethereum, it's not Solana. Just watch. Remember I told you, okay? See you.
we're back, and I'm relaxing with my ascension symptoms are pretty intense right now. It's something we want to talk about, but yeah, we left off. Alex was talking about Murphy's Law, and I was bitching for a while about my own Murphy's Law experiences. And one of the things to remember is once you stop feeling the resistance, once the friction stops, then you're probably not on the right path. There's always going to be friction on the white path. There's always going to be friction when you're walking the divine path because the shadow doesn't want you to walk that path. So there's going to be all kinds of obstacles. There's going to be delays. There's going to be limbo phases. There's going to be loss and sacrifices that need to be made. And
A lot of loops.
detailing my own me kicking nicotine, right? And there was this call for me to do this for the longest time. Like this was my last big obstacle was to get rid of this addiction, and it's just one of those things, man. Like you're gonna always face the shadows, and the shadows are always gonna try to get you to turn back. And this type of frustration that I'm dealing with right now, where I'm like, all right, I got through it, but it's like, am I really through it? I'm still getting cravings here and there. I'm still like, you know, thinking the other day, I was like, oh, I'm gonna go buy a pack of cigarettes. I was like, wait a minute, I haven't smoked a cigarette since October. Why would I get cigarettes? It's like that, so it's still there, right? The shadow is still there trying to entice me back into it. Like if I have this cup of coffee right now, right? And the thing about nicotine, and this is if you guys are trying to kick it, and I'll give you guys a tip on nicotine is a compound reward addiction, right? In that it's your brain's reward system of it releases dopamine when you once you become a nicotine addict, you need it to release that dopamine, right? And so it's your brain's reward system becomes centered around the fulfilling this addiction, right? And with nicotine specifically, it's very unique in that it is the perfect capper to other experiences that give you dopamine, such as eating a great meal, having sex, drinking coffee, taking a great shit. There's all kinds of things that the cigarette and it heightens alcohol, right? Like there's oh man, that was one of the hardest things to stop is like if you're in Vegas, Las Vegas, we're talking about Las Vegas and Sin City, drinking uh, drinking alcohol, smoking a cigarette, and gambling on a fucking video poker machine. Oh man, that hit that clicked so many cylinders. I'm gambling, I'm drinking, I'm smoking. It's three
Dopamine,
caps at
dopamine,
once.
dopamine overload.
Oh man, it's just, and so the cigarette is like it's great in itself, but it also the triggers once you start to rewire your brain when you quit nicotine. So you start to become very cognizant of these triggers, and these triggers are usually dopamine reward cappers, like eating a great meal. It's man, a cigarette after a great meal is incredible. A cigarette with a coffee. Oh man, so like when I'm drinking like this, I still get this, right? Even though I haven't smoked in weeks, I'll be outside drinking my coffee, and I just have this longing for something more, right? I want something else besides just this drink of coffee, and I'm still searching for it. My mind is still searching for that capper because I become so accustomed to it, right? So that there's the best way to quit this addiction is to, and this is something I don't have, right? Is to replace that capper with something. I've just gone cold turkey and just I've been rejected completely this reward system to rewire my brain. But my advice to you, if you're kicking this is like psychologically why, even beyond the physical addiction, it's the psychological addiction. This is part of addiction in general, is just your brain wires itself for these things. And the triggers are psychological more than physical. So find something to replace it. This is something a lot of people will, some people will use toothpicks for the oral fixation. Some people chewing gum, even working out, right? Start instead of every time you get a craving for a cigarette or nicotine puff, do 10 push-ups. Do something positive to replace it. It's yoga. Perfect. Yeah, do some freaking yoga. Get your yoga mat out and stretch.
Right. You got
Find
a yoga mat
something
going?
find something rewarding for your brain to replace that reward. And it's not easy. It's the fucking probably the hardest addiction to get rid of because it's a capper, right? Because it caps off so many experiences. Because it is the perfect cherry on top of so many experiences. It's that's why it's so hard, is because there's nothing like it. There's nothing else like it, and it finds its way into all these different experiences that it enhances. So the best way to kick it is to find something to substitute.
And
Because where I'm at right now is I'm really far beyond the physical addiction. The nicotine leaves the body after 3 days, right? The first 3 days are the hardest because you feel the physical withdrawal symptoms. But here I am 3 weeks out, and I'm still having psychological withdrawals from that reward system because I haven't replaced it with anything. So this is just
well,
me from my own advice of like, if you're trying to kick this habit, find something to replace that reward.
Well, I'm glad you brought this stuff up because you know what? There's actually some news I'm actually very happy to report on. And a lot of people don't know, okay, but this right here is a notepad. And for like the last few like weeks, really, since before I left to go to Vegas, um, forgive me for a second. I'm looking for something. I uh I thought I had lost again all of my research, and I want people to understand like when I say research, like what I mean. So like this is like one of my most important books here, and this thing has every page filled into it pretty much. Um, a lot of formulas and stuff that I wrote out, and then I've got all these files, right? So I've got all these documents here. This is like paperwork and stuff that I had to go and research and put together. So all of this together equals like my life's work, right? So I thought I lost that, and um, this consumed maybe about 10 to 15,000 hours of my life, and um, so I had started working on something. Uh, we're March 5th, right?
Hmm.
March 5th, episode 5, right? My birthday is in 11 days, and we're almost at June, and June 1st is when I started this book here. And this book now, reason I'm bringing this up is because some people have been called to do stuff. There's some very talented people that I know that are, writing movies, and some people are writing books. Some people are, painting paintings. Some people are composing music. And like we're going through all of this, randomness and all this trials and tribulations. And like we have missions, we have things that we're supposed to do. And I keep getting, I tap into the spiritual community, and I keep seeing my readers talking about that book you were writing, that book. And I'm like, shit, where the fuck did I put that book? And like so this is the logo. This is the quantum logo, the zero and the one and a Q, kind of like what you see behind me. And this book starts June 1st, and it goes to uh June 7th. So I did it for a week straight, but I wrote 21 pages into my book. Okay. And and I keep getting the message. I keep getting the download that I need to finish this book. And this book is based on what I call like it's not what I call it's just 105, like it's like between 100 to 105 universal laws, right? And so a lot of the stuff that we talk about, B and I, and about having faith, blind faith, and just going through the motion, and like letting the like having the universe know that that it knows that that whole thing, like that's all part of like cosmic law.
Hmm.
Like this isn't something that we made up. Like this has been passed down from since the beginning of time. There
Yeah.
are natural laws to this matrix that we live in, and I keep being compelled. I gotta finish this damn book. So
The
I'm
law of
super.
equivalent exchange. The
Oh,
law
dude,
of
there's so many. Yeah.
that's a key one though. That's how that's like not to I don't want to I'll let you get back to your point, but the reason why faith the faith works, the faith because we know that we've put in X amount of work, right? Like and we know that the universal laws are real. So we know that the law of universal exchange or equivalent exchange, the law of equivalent exchange states that the energy put in must be returned, right? Because energy isn't destroyed, it's never created or destroyed. It is always, it's just cyclical, right? So like this goes back to the quote I had in the first part about energy, right? When once you start tapping into God's energy, and the white path, not the black path where you're trying to manipulate energy and manipulate people to do what you're bidding. It's when you step into your divine path and you start channeling divine energy, your capacity for more energy increases, right? And this is the quote was talking about how, as a painter, your paintings get better, and anything that you're doing becomes enhanced, and your capacity for energy for love, which is what the universal energy is, your capacity is increased. And this is how we can continue on the path, even in the face of obstacles, because we know where we're going, we see the vision, and we know that the energy we've put into the system is going to be returned
Right.
because there's no other way that it could go. So,
And also because the intent was there, right? Because I did
mm,
it from a good place. I did it with the intent that I want to help my brothers and sisters to learn from my mistakes, learn from my trials and tribulations. So, and granted, like it's a silly concept to think back now in hindsight, but we try and do this a lot in the spiritual communities. I learn from my mistakes, and at the end of the day, the truth of the matter is like no one's gonna learn from anyone's mistakes. They're gonna have to make their own.
has to be experienced because a lot of the time when you reach a certain level of vibration and understanding, you're speaking it's almost like you're speaking a different language. Like this is something I've run into with my social media, in that I feel like I've talked about this before. I have the same 3 or 4 dozen people watching my stories, but none of them comment, none of them like, none of them ask any questions. They just watching, they're just monitoring, and I don't get really a lot of reaction or any type of interaction on any of my stuff. And for a while there, it was discouraging to me because it's like, man, I just want people to interact and talk to me and like ask me questions, right? I want to help people, but it's one of those things where it's almost like you've broken through to another level of the video game, and the the knowledge you have is beyond anything the people on the past levels can comprehend, because you're talking about level stuff that's going to help you past level 7, and you're trying to impart it upon people who are on level 2, right? And level 2 people can't even fathom what level 7 is like because they're on level fucking 2. So
Right,
like trying to pass level 7 knowledge on the people who are on level 2, it's like speaking Chinese. You're like
right,
speaking a different language. It's like trying to
right,
explain the symbolism in my paintings to people who don't even know any of these concepts.
right.
Like nobody understands the pentagram. They think it's the devil's sign,
Well,
right? So to try to
well,
tell them it's the 5 wounds of Christ, and that there's the 5 elements, it's
well,
like
even beyond that, I want to simplify something too, like, and that is that we go through to the level of detail, like at least my intention with giving you guys the details of all the shitty things going on in my life is because I want you guys to see just like those paintings that he's doing, like these are these things that we all have to endure. And while we may make it look easy, this shit sucks. And it's rough and it's tough. And we could sit here and beat each other up about it, but we
oh,
don't. But we don't. We laugh. We laugh because we know that yes, we could in fact sit here and bitch and moan and whine, literally gonna get us nowhere. Because you know what? People are more prone to help you out when you take an approach like we are taking right now than if you are puss attitude. Like if you watch the inauguration, I'm not the inauguration, the State of the Union address. And I hate to get political, but the Dems were looking really sour yesterday. Really sour. And you know, I'm not a big fanboy of Trump or Elon, but I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna tell you the truth. Some of the stuff that I heard yesterday actually gave me tears. Actually brought tears to my eyes. And people can talk shit all they want to. They're gonna talk, on the comments, about how the political theater and all that stuff. But bro, like that kid that's got that brain cancer and he got put into like the Secret Service. Like, dude, that was badass.
Yeah, it was it's good to see that feel good shit, right? Like, yeah, it was Trump is a master at this point, right? This
Yeah.
is something I was talking to my mom's husband about. Like, this dude is a master. You're seeing a master at work, and there's a reason why the Democrats look so bad, right? Everything they do just looks like shit now. It looks like shit. Like they are completely defeated. Like every move they make is just the wrong move. This dude is fucking 10 steps ahead of these people. Almost to the point where, like you said, with the political theater stuff, it almost seems like it's like they're so bad. How could they be so bad at this? It almost seems like it's
Yeah.
contrived, like it's planned that they're just the enemy now, and that
Like
they're accepting
there's
their
no
role.
way. There's no way someone could suck that bad naturally. Like, it's
A
kind of
hundred
weird.
percent. It's just there's it's that's what I'm looking at, right? Is like there has to be some kind of rhyme or reason to why they just are completely decimated. Nothing they do looks good now. Like they just everything they do looks like a big fucking steaming pile of shit. The stupid
Right.
signs,
Right.
and then like all the women wearing pink, but then they voted down the measure to keep men out of women's sports. Like it's just like there's
Yeah.
it's how could they just be so bad at this? And like Bill Maher is somebody who's 100% a liberal, right? He's as left as it gets without being far left, right? He's like a center left type of guy, but he's been a fucking hater of Trump for the longest time, and he's like desperately trying to get to rein the Democrats back into some semblance of sanity. And he keeps pointing out this insanity, and it's like they're not learning their lesson. And like the public at this point has completely written off all left wing media. The left wing media is just dead completely. They're dying,
Well,
and
they're in the process of self-destructing.
yeah, and that's the thing. Is like it's just you're watching the complete self destruction of a whole political party, of a whole political movement, right? Which 5 years ago, man, it was not looking good for us, right? Like with COVID, and as authoritarian as the leftists were, and it seemed like they had a stranglehold on our government and on our media and on the people, right? In COVID, I was really worried that we're going into this left wing authoritarian dystopia. And now, 5 years later, like that video you sent me from JP, what's his name?
Dude.
JP Sears or whatever his name is. I'm gonna look at I forget his freaking name,
Yeah,
but like
no.
the coma, right?
Yeah,
The liberal wakes up in a coma after being in a coma for 5 years, and then like
yeah,
the reality check of how different it is now. Like it's like literally everything liberal has turned into poison. Like nobody is fucking buying this shit anymore. It's like it's really bizarre how
right.
big of a switch. It's really, I mean, I'm loving it in a way, but also there's this part of me that's like has to be really wary of the right now, right? Because anytime these ideologies come into power, they start
Right.
to get they start
You
to
gotta
get like, yeah, it's just
you gotta find your center point. You gotta find your center point.
gotta walk this razor's edge, and be wary of the right now that they've come into power. Because we saw what happened last time they were in full power, which is the Bush administration. Some of the most, and that was a time when I was thinking we were facing a right wing dystopia, right? So this is the pendulum. The pendulum's been swinging back and forth our whole life, and now it's swinging back right after being on the left for ever since Obama, really. Like
Right.
Bush pushed it to all the way over here to Obama. Obama and Biden really spelled the
So
end of the left, like
so I'm
swinging
glad we
back
got
right.
to this because one of the things I want to cover is, um with this guy that I'm working on, one of the things that he's kind of pushing in the background is, there's some people out from New Zealand that are launching this direct democracy platform, which is basically a voting platform for the public that's decentralized in nature that we could actually voice our vote and have it count for something. Whether or not it's acknowledged, that's a different story. But we at least gonna, from the ground up, we're gonna do a bottom up approach to decentralizing the voting process. And so the investor who I'm talking to that's gonna, potentially help us get the preliminary stuff off the ground for the quantum ecosystem. He's also behind investing into that platform, and he's also launching an academy, like a curriculum to help people understand about the democratic process and, like, basically, your rights, and how propaganda is used to dissuade or persuade, or win your vote. So there's different phases of what he's trying to do, and in some way, shape, or form, like this platform that's being built with the voting stuff. At least the talks right now are that the quantum ecosystem is a modular system. So at some point, we will be building that into the platform so that we will have our own voting mechanism, largely in using that technology that they've already built. Which brings me to the next part also, which is another thing that I haven't had a chance to talk to you about. And that is a really good friend of mine in Las Vegas. He is a realtor in Miami, and I'm sorry, in Florida and Nevada and Hawaii. Uh, he is doing a 3D scanning company. So if you want to, if you have a digital, if you have a real retail store and you want to, for example, let's just say an art gallery, right? Like, let's just say your house right there, B, like you want to sell your art pieces, but you're sleeping and you don't want people to bother you. We can create an actual, we could scan in your home, right? And or we could take the blueprints and create a virtual space. We could put your paintings in this virtual space. We can actually put it onto a blockchain, and people can navigate a 3D metaverse like space and shop at your 3D virtual store 24 hours a day. And it'll just be an extension of your physical space. So we can do this now. And I'm telling you this because this is something that you can also add to your list of things, because obviously, by extension, if I'm doing it, well, you can do it too. So if you get me some clients, I'll break you off, type deal. But yes, like we're doing this 3D virtual scanning of physical locations, creating virtual assets in the metaverse. We're creating assets of real estate properties. And it's I'll put some links in the description so you guys can check it out. If you guys use um, Quantum Alchemists, or when you guys reach out to Ted, if you guys reach out to Ted directly and don't, if you use Quantum Alchemists, he'll give you guys a cut on the price. Or if you go through us, we'll obviously work something out. And this is early stages technology. So far, this guy, I mean, I if you're in the real estate business, I feel for you. Real estate is about to get decimated by AI. And this guy has a platform which will allow for you to go through the real estate process of buying a property. And AI will completely act as the buyer's agent, completely eliminating the buyer's agent in the process. So, um, yeah, like it's going to be pretty revolutionary. And he's opening up in Florida, Nevada, and Hawaii. If you guys are interested in opening up a new market space, reach out to me. Let me know that you're in the real estate business, and we can set up a meeting and talk to you about opening up your own franchise in your location. And B will be a great helper for all this stuff, because I'm gonna make sure that B is a part of everything that we're doing. So yeah, man, like things are running very slow, in IRL, but things are moving, right? So it's like we have all these really weird interactions where one day we're talking about like there's not really much happening on one side of things, which it's really not because everything moves at its own time and space. And then on the other side of things, we've got so many irons in the fire that at any moment something's gonna pop off, and B and I are gonna be in a different space. Like we're gonna be
That's a
so.
100%. No, that's it in a nutshell, dude. And that's part of the why I'm so antsy because it's like, in my meditations and my dream state, I've already quantum leaped into this new reality, and then my physical body is still in this limbo phase where it's like I already am living in the future, or not the future, but living as the version of me that has all these things, but my physical body is still in this trying to catch up, and this is part of the ascension symptoms, right? We talked about, you want to talk about ascension systems, part of manifesting and the things that you hear and read and study when you study this stuff is like you're not actually drawing in the manifestations. You're becoming the version of you that has those things. So it's like you have to step into this new version of yourself. And in this process of stepping into this new version of yourself, there is this limbo phase, right, where you're already the person that has everything that you're manifesting, but in the physical reality, in the 3D, it hasn't caught up yet. And that's exactly where I am at right now, where it's like I am fully 100% the version of myself that has all the things that I've been manifesting. But the physical body is like looking at my watch on the in the looking at the illusion of time of like where the fuck
when
is all this stuff.
when moon, sir, when moon.
Yeah. So I digress. We're almost done with this part. I have another quote that I would love to read for you guys. I'm finding these quotes, every episode, and they're all very profound. And because I'm at this phase of alchemy where I read the things the alchemists of the past have left us. And, maybe a year ago, if I had read these things, I'd be like, what the fuck are they talking about? But now when I read them, I'm like, I've fully experienced this. Like it's like I'm reading it from a knowing standpoint rather than a looking to looking for the knowledge. The knowledge has already been imparted upon me, and I've experienced it. And then this is just a reinforcement of where I'm at. Is like reading these teachings from these adepts who are who are explaining their own experience, right? And
I
it's
think
like,
I think it's safe to say that knowing and understanding are two different things.
yeah, it's just a reinforcement of like, if there were any doubts in my mind that this is the process that I am experiencing, I read these adepts from the past couple of 100 years that have detailed this process, and it resonates with me. So that's why I share these quotes, because if you're on the same path as me, maybe you're not quite at this stage, or you're at the same stage where I'm at right now. These will resonate with you and maybe give you some kind of reinforcement and what's the word I'm looking for? Validation. Maybe it'll give you the validation that, okay, this isn't all in vain. Because sometimes when you're in this limbo phase of like you're living it, you're holding a lightning bolt, a divine
Mhm.
lightning bolt, and the things you're experiencing in the 5D and in your meditation and in your physical body, you're feeling these symptoms of like, I am not the person I used to be, but you're still trapped in a fucking limbo phase. I'm hoping to impart these things to give you guys a little bit of juice to get over that hump. So this is from Omram Mikhail Ivanov. He's somebody I've read from before. He's very good. After eating the forbidden fruit, Adam and Eve continued to live physically, but they died to their higher state of consciousness. They are driven out of paradise, which is the symbol of this higher consciousness, and angels with flaming swords guarded the entrance. What do we mean when we say that Adam and Eve were exiled to earth? The paradise from which they were banished was an earthly paradise. What was the difference then between the earth on which they already lived and that to which they were banished? The Kabbalah teaches that the earth exists in seven forms, and it gives the name and the attributes of each, from the densest to the subtlest. And it was from the subtlest form of earth that the first man and woman were banished. According to initiatic science, the earth has an etheric double which surrounds it like a luminous atmosphere. It is this subtle etheric double that is the true earth spoken of in Genesis, which we call paradise, that God placed the first human beings. It was here that they lived in the radiant, luminous bodies, and they knew neither suffering, sickness, or death. Paradise has never ceased to exist. Although we cannot see it, it's all around us as a material reality, but a reality that exists on the subtle, an etheric plane of matter. The tree of eternal life still stands in paradise and still produces the elements that constituted the nourishment of our first parents. They lived in and were nourished by this etheric substance of the earth. It was this substance that gave light and purity to their lives. The tree of life wasn't actually a tree, it was a current that flowed through this region from the sun. Adam and Eve were nourished by the sun's rays. The tree of life is the sun. Human beings are constructed in exactly the same way today as when they were first created. They still have the innate capacity to receive the sun's rays, to eat once again the fruits of the tree of life. That is, they still have the ability to turn back to God. Each religion has its own language and way of expressing things, but all religions speak of this reintegration in God, of this turning back to the prime cause. As Omram Mikhail Ivanov.
Yeah, pretty much it's always returning back to source.
And Eden, the exit from Eden, the sword, the flaming sword of Eden, right? When Adam and Eve were expelled from the garden, it's internal. Like a lot of this mystic traditions, a lot of the symbolism, the tree of life, the astrology, the as above, so below, it's all talking about the body. The body. It's like the spirit and material bodies. And where the shadow comes in is to obscure the spiritual body, right? But returning to Eden consciousness is about reawakening the spiritual body. And all these mystic traditions, a lot of these religions, it's all about reintegrating with spirit, with the spiritual body that is innate within us, which is
Right.
God.
Which
And
takes place right around here.
it's the heart, this heart center, right? The heart is the central, like, and where we've lost it is becoming mind centric, right? Everything is mind in our today's society. This is why we're so lost. And this, we go back to what we're talking about with Vegas, with people trying to fill the hole with pleasure. They're in their mind, and the pleasure receptor of the brain, which is talking about addictions and the dopamine, right? This is all mind centered, and it's trying to fill the holes of the mind with material when the whole of the mind is filled with the heart. It's returning to the heart. It's escaping through that hole in the mind, coming out of the hole of the mind into the heart. You're not going to fill that hole in the mind with anything in this physical existence. Anything that this physical body can touch will not fill the hole in the mind. The hole in the mind is there to escape from. It's the escape hatch into the heart. And if you look at science, science is seeing that the heart has a greater magnetic field, like exponentially greater than the mind. The mind is
Right.
a tool. The mind is an incredible tool, but a terrible master. The master is meant to be the heart, which is the spirit center, which is what all these mystic traditions are all pointing to. The tree of life in Kabbalah is talking about the heart, like look at the tree of life. If you look at it, tree of life here in the center, right? All these paths pointing down here to this yellow dot. The yellow dot, if you look at This is the symbolism, you guys. It's all universal, right? The yellow dot is also represented here. It's the same construct. This is the tree of life. All these paths are going here to this central point. It's on this thing and on this. And the central point here is the heart chakra. That's what this is. It's the heart. Heart is the center of everything. That's where you find God. That's where God exists. That's why they say God is love, and everything's about the heart. The heart, the heart, the heart. Love is this, and love is that. It's all heart. It's all heart centered. And our today's society, the world of the shadow is the mind. It's the big um it's the big deceiver, right? The mind is very powerful, and it captures us because of how powerful it is. But the
Right.
heart is the center, and
That's why the illusion exists here.
yeah. Well, and then the when you open your third eye, right, which is also here, right, third eye. So I'm gonna break down the spirit body, right? The tree of life is the spirit body, but the third eye, you see it's shooting upwards, right? This is the you activate, you shoot out, right? This is you connected. But what's the third eye is also right. So you receive the sun's rays. It's talking about the sun, right? When you open your third eye, you receive through the third eye into your heart. You know, that's what powers the whole thing. It powers the entire spirit body. And when if you guys this is like level 7 stuff, trying to impart level 7 knowledge of like the body, the spirit body. Like when you've experienced the kundalini awakening, and these energies become alive, and you become aware of your spirit body, and this is goes back to the chrism stuff, right? Where when your third eye releases DMT and serotonin, the Christ oil goes down to the chrism, right? The sacral plexus in your the cup, the cup of Christ is your sacral plexus in your spine, where this fluid comes down, right? Every month when the moon is in your sun sign. This is fact. This is spiritual fact. This is what all these traditions are pointing to this process. It's something that's been wiped out, but like the Bible points to it through the Christ story. Um, Hinduism talks about with the Kundalini. This is like real
Right.
spirit body stuff. This is the awakening of the spirit body. Every month, the Christ seed comes down, comes in the sacral plexus, which is the cup of Christ, stays for 3 days, and then rises back up. And when you purify yourself, it awakens the third eye, right? And this is the spirit body. When the spirit body becomes alive, you go out into nature and you literally feel one with it. Like like I say, I touch the trees. I go into the forest, into these places where there's running water, and I literally put my hands in the water, and I feel the power of God in the water because that's energy. That's pure energy. Water is pure energy. And Cat Williams talks about this. He prays underwater, right? Because the evil can't find you underwater, because water is pure God energy. This is why, and we are 80% whatever water. And this is the Emoto water experiment. When you channel emotion into your water, it changes the water. Like, look at that stuff. Like, this is all. I know I'm going off a huge tangent here, but this is all connected, right? This is the elements. This
It's
is
beautiful because you're showing that there is no separation between things, and that's the truth. I mean, the illusion is the separation.
well, that's where the mind comes in, right? Because it's the ego. The ego grabs onto the mind, and the ego are one, right? So like that this is how they work together to deceive us, and this is the devil, right? This is the devil inside of us, is the mind, and and you see it in the politics, right? Like this is something that I have a really hard time with right now. Is like trying to figure out how, because I know it's part of my path to try to impart this wisdom upon people, but like one of the things that I'm seeing is a huge block right now is this political stuff. It's got people so divided, and because this is part of the ego, right? Is like we come to these ideologies because it placates ego to a certain degree, right? We find these people who think like us with the mind, and we identify with them, right? We identify with these identities. I'm a Republican. I'm a Democrat, and then now you have somebody to hate on the other side of the aisle. Oh, that person doesn't think like me, so they're enemy, right? It's this ego trick, and but when you break through and you start to understand these things, like the water, man, like when I drink this water,
Switzerland.
oh, like when you really feel the water when you drink it, like it literally changes the whole your body. Like it's literally you feel it. You feel the shift when you need it's like if we always drink our water like when you're working out or you're really thirsty, right? And you drink water and it's just like the most amazing thing in the world, right? When you're thirsty and you drink and you feel this release, this relief. If we always drank our water with that same enthusiasm, it would change our lives because literally it's changing the structure of the water. Look up the
I
Emoto
mean,
water experiment.
if you really want to go down to that level, like if we did all things in life with that level of enthusiasm, our lives would be different.
Well, that's why gratitude's so powerful. That's why being
Attitude, attitude of gratitude.
grateful for our food. Like when you're grateful for your food, it literally supercharges your food. Literally. Like if you that's why, all these like giving thanks and giving thanks for your food and being mindful when you're eating stuff like animal products, right? When you're eating a cheeseburger or a steak, being grateful for that animal that gave its life for your sustenance, and um even the plants, like the plants are alive too. This is where the I vegans like is like they're, oh, you're eating a creature, but no, like you're
I
the
could hear the
plants.
spinach. I could hear the spinach saying, "No, don't eat
This
me."
is something so I had an argument with somebody about this. She's a vegan and she's talking about cows and stuff like that. And I was telling her, well, if look at a cow, right? Like a cow, it's the perfect meat. They give us milk, like it's literally this creature seems like it was put here for our sustenance, right? If what is the purpose of this animal other than to give us sustenance, right? And she's like, oh, but it's a living thing, and you da 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 da. And believe me, I
Unless,
understand. Like,
unless that was part of the deception, but keep going.
but like you trust me, like you watch these cow videos, and they're a beautiful creature, right? Like they have feelings, and even pigs too. So like I understand why people are vegans, but also like I had this tree out front of my apartment in my old place in LA. And this is the tree that I literally broke through with, like, right? Like I was sharing energy with this tree and I was praying with this tree every day. And then they chopped this fucking tree down at my apartment.
Oh
And
no.
it literally devastated me to the point of like I was weeping. I was weeping because this is the tree that literally helped me break through on the energy and understanding that I'm part of this thing, that I'm part of reality. So I told her, I was like, you're talking to a dude that cried over a tree. So you're not going to tell me that animal life and plant life, there's some kind of like that one's more valuable than the other. You know what I'm saying? Like, so if you're eating vegetables or you're eating an animal, you're still eating life. And that's part of this reality that we've been put in is like we need these things for sustenance. And
Well,
the
well,
key
hold
is
on,
just the key
right
of it.
there.
Hold on, like let me finish the point. My whole thing, right, is like the intention and the reverence for the life that you're consuming to perpetuate your own life. It's understanding that energy is needed and to be grateful for it. And that right there, whether you're vegan or you're eating a fucking cheeseburger,
Right.
you're
And
still consuming a life.
to that point, though, I'm glad you brought this up because the idea is that hopefully we can evolve back to the point where we don't need either plants nor flesh, animals to survive. Supposedly science is showing us that I believe we could survive off of just sunlight, photosynthesis.
Well,
But
dude, that whole quote I was just talking about with, the tree of life is the sun, right? And this is something that I've fully been engaged with since my ACL tear is connecting to the energies of the planet. And like I don't know if you guys notice, but look at my body, man. Like look at me. And I don't work out that much. And but what I do is
rub it in,
every
why don't you? Rub it in.
no, but no, I'm not trying to say, oh look how fucking I'm super buff. No, it's my practice. It's not because I'm working out. It's not because I'm like I don't eat terribly, but I don't like sit and like have a really strict diet. It's my energy work. I will 100% attest to this. This is my energy work at play. That's why I look the way I look because I literally every day I go outside in the morning and I walk on the grass and I touch the tree and I do chakra meditation with the tree. And I literally connect to the energy centers of Earth. If you look at the Schumann resonance that's going on in the planet right now, it's incredible amounts of Earth energy are being pumped into us, and I'm
Yeah.
connecting to that every morning. But like
Well,
religiously, literally religiously, is my ceremony every morning to walk on the grass, touch the tree, and then I go with my mom to the forest in the park, and as I'm walking, I'm touching every tree that really comes in my path. Like we walk on these dirt paths and it's lined with trees, right? So left hand is receiving, right hand is giving, right? So I'm taking energy with my left hand from the trees on the left, and this is all in love, right? I'm connecting to, and my mom wonders, she's like, how do you always remember these trails? Like, I can never remember these trails. You always know where you're at. And like low key, it's because I'm literally putting my signature on every single fucking tree. Like literally every single tree I'm touching. And like I'm either receiving energy or giving energy to every tree, every single one. And like I'm mindfully doing it, right? Intention. I'm mindfully doing it. I'm taking energy with love from the trees on the left, and I'm giving energy to trees on the right throughout the whole thing. And then I will find streams where the water is running. I will stick my hands in the water. I'll put the left hand down like this to receive and the right hand down to give. And I'm receiving energy in my left and I'm giving energy in my right. This is my practice. I'm literally sucking energy out of the earth,
it
out of the
looks a lot like
water,
wax on, wax off.
and then I put my hands up to the sun and receive sun energy into my palms and into my third eye, and I suck it in. And I do it with intention, knowing that it's real. Like this is the key, right? Is like people can go and do this and like have be skeptical and this woo woo shit. No, I'm fully engaged and knowing that what I'm doing with intention is powering my body, and the results speak for themselves. Like, look at me. I literally look like a fucking Greek god. And it's like I'm not trying to tell my say I'm not trying to say that, oh, look how fucking sexy I am. I'm telling you what I'm doing works. And I healed my fucking torn ACL, which without
Yeah,
surgery, by doing energy practices with the earth.
yeah.
It's you can call me a fucking hippie or a weirdo or a
No,
woo,
not
but
at
like
all.
no,
Actually, I
I'm not
think that
saying you specifically. I'm saying people who are skeptics.
yeah.
But the proof is in the pudding. I am literally working with the energies of the earth and it's powering me up. And it's like, there, what can I say, man?
Don't knock it till you try it, guys. Don't knock it till you try it.
This
That's
is
all I
what
gotta
the shamans did, right? This is 100% what the alchemists and shamans have done. This is the knowledge that's been passed to us
say. Right.
um, through the
You know,
occult. Like this shit's real. And I'm telling you, you can exchange energy with trees and streams and the sun. This quote that I just gave from Mikhail Ivanov, like about the sun being the tree of life, and you said it too. Like we can live off of this stuff. Like literally, you can heal yourself, and you could live off the sun's energy and water probably alone like 99%, maybe eat once a month or something. But that's the old way, you know, like um, I fully believe that we're coming to a place where this will be fully acknowledged. And what it's going to take is the collapsing of these conglomerates, these food and
I want to clarify.
medicine and
I want to clarify first of all, B, the stuff that you and I talk about, like we talk about it very lightly, and you were saying to me earlier, like these conversations come easy to us. This is like level 7 to a level 2 type deal. And I don't say that like to say that, that we're unobtainable in terms of like the level of understanding that we have, that you can't get there, because not at all. We were not very knowledgeable at one point also, but this level of understanding is something that uh people go and attend special churches, special like organizations, special schooling, special institutions. Like there's organizations that teach this type of stuff to like a select group of people. And we didn't go and we didn't attend any of these classes. Like we happened to stumble across the information, and we were passionately curious enough to continue to go down these rabbit holes where we learned enough about this stuff to be able to articulate it back to you, because we've been putting it into practice in our own lives. But the truth of the matter is that there actually is an active force that doesn't want us to talk about this stuff. Like we're not supposed to be telling you about any of this by at
no,
all.
it's I mean it's part of what we talked about with the resistance, right? Like the reason we're facing so much resistance is because the knowledge we have is so powerful. It will change the world. I've been talking about this since the beginning of the podcast that we're going to change the world. But it's like I fully believe that we are because I understand how powerful this knowledge is. It's been suppressed for eons. It's been suppressed for centuries because it is so powerful that it will change the world.
Yeah.
But
Literally,
this is
literally,
go
when
ahead.
you get to the point where, like where B's at, where he looks at these symbols behind him that he's painted, and you start walking around and you start seeing these things everywhere, like it gives you a different meaning of your own reality. You start interpreting things differently. And when you start having thoughts of things and you start correlating, these symbols, and you have a thought of something that pops into your mind, and then you look at the time and there's a synchronistic number, or you see a number matching somewhere, or someone else says something that happens to line up with what you're thinking, like there are levels to it. There's dimensions of understanding that, you're dealing in the physical and in the spiritual. And there are things trying to talk to you all the time. In fact, your environment is 100% of the time talking to you. You just have to be tuned in enough to understand that what's happening, right? Like an ant can literally talk to you. Like no bullshit. An ant can talk to you if you dial into the right frequency. It'll tell you, like, hey, what are you looking at? You know what I'm saying? Like,
No, and this stuff is like it's hard to get across to people who are very skeptical and because the matrix I get I mean it's kind of like tired symbology like using the matrix but it's so
when did they
apt
come up with something new?
because it's like it's kind of been it's cliche at this point to talk about it that way, but it's really true because the construct of the mind of the human mind that the collective human mind has created is so powerful that it consumes the five senses. But when you look into science, right? Let's just go to science for a second and look at the electromagnetic spectrum, right? And the five senses of the five senses perceive 0.05% of the electromagnetic spectrum. So what our perceived reality is with our five senses is 0.05% of known reality, right? And this is just within the scientific electromagnetic spectrum. That doesn't even take into account the other dimensions of consciousness. This is just within what science can perceive as the electromagnetic spectrum. Our bodies only perceive 0.05% of it.
Right?
So that's
And
like if so
our
if
eyes
you
are just one.
so yeah, so like to put that into context, right? Your body, if your body was a radio, Your body can only tune into 5 out of 100,000 radio stations. That's the equivalent, right? So if you think of your body and your five senses as a radio,
Actually, I'm sorry to cut you off. Your body could tune into all of them, but you're trained to only tune into five.
well, your five senses, right? The
Right.
five senses of mind perception,
You're
can only
trained to
do
only tune
five.
into those
Yeah.
five, but
But
you actually have access to all of them if you tune your mind into it.
yeah, so if you guys think that the things I'm talking about are crazy, the fact that I can communicate with trees and water and the sun, like consider that. Consider that the things that you can touch, smell, see, and hear are less than 1% of reality. It's 0.05%, which is a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of what true reality is. And the things that I'm tapping into are way beyond that fraction of a fraction of a fraction. It's like if you look at a fractal, right? You're seeing like one little curl of one part of the fractal. I'm seeing the entire fractal, and it's just part of what comes with this path. And it wasn't easy. Like it's not easy to get to this point.
I wouldn't say the entire fractal, but we're seeing a larger piece of the fractal because the fractal is always revealing itself to us. So it's always evolving. And I don't know if we'll ever really get the full fractal, but it is always revealing itself to you. That's part of the self-realization is part of the enlightenment process is how much more of the fractal can you figure out?
Yeah. Well, I'll put it this way. Like I can't see the whole fractal, but the whole fractal is acting within me.
Yeah.
That's that's really what it really comes down to. And
Well,
this is
that you have that understanding that it's acting within you. So
that's why
but yeah,
it's
because
it's
you know.
hard. It's so difficult to navigate the 3D once you felt the entire fractal. The 3D becomes this like
It
almost
becomes
burden.
painful. It becomes painful.
It becomes almost this burdensome um experience when
Yeah.
you've
You know what the
experienced.
problem is? I think the problem is that when you figure it out so soon, and like we're stuck in the void, right? Which is like now we're waiting for everyone else to figure it out. Because like we already got a lot of it, so it's like cool. What's next? Well, what's next is you, watcher, viewer, you need to subscribe, like, comment down below, and you need to like get it. You need to figure out, like, you need to understand what we're talking about because the more of us that figure this shit out, the quicker we can close up this chapter and get back to source because that's really what it's all about, but like the idea is that we need to get as many of us together because the ship is sailing whether we want it or not, like, and B and I are on it. We're on that ship, and we signed up to save as many of you sleepies as we can. And sorry for, if you guys take offense to me calling you a sleepy, but you're not. Are you better off being sleepy than awoke? So
Yeah. Uh, what ultimately just reach out to us, and that's what I'm craving more than anything. It's something I told my mom. I think she's more in the church, and she's spiritual. She's religious, and she doesn't quite understand a lot of the things that I talk about. But one of the things I told her is, you know, like it's. Yeah, I don't know if I should say that. Let's just leave that. Leave it where it is. It is. It's. It's
It's
just.
fair. It's fair. It's fair because I talk about a lot of stuff that a lot of people don't understand, and it's okay. I just look at me. You know what? It's okay if you don't understand. And the idea is like our job isn't to make them understand. Our job is just to plant that seed, like, and one day they'll get it. One day they'll be, I remember that crazy thing that he was telling me, and I get it now. Like it makes sense. Like we be like we be you and I be. I've come to this understanding, like we don't have to force any of this stuff down people's throats. Like that's not our job. Like
Mm.
literally, we can just have a conversation, bro. And literally, like we can come on here and just have a conversation every single time, and people could just listen in. And that's our job. Because you know what? We're just sharing our experience in real life, and people are seeing like, you know what? If I was going through what that dude was going through, I would be very upset. I would be taking things way differently. But look at how calm, cool, and collect this dude is. Like his life is going to shit, and
I,
he is
but what it
keeping it.
boils down to is, man, I just want to help people. And I want to get into a position where I can help people. That's the frustrating part of where I'm at right now is like it's
Intent.
like
That's your intent. You intend to help people. Cool.
it's just I just want to help. I just want to help, and I know
Right.
that there's a place for me to help others because I see the world and how it is. I see that I'm on social media. I see all these ideological fights that people have over politics or whatever it may be, or the poor me posts or the all these pity parties and like a lot of depressed people. I talked about if, somebody I knew taking their own life because of mental health. Like I feel like I can help people. Like that's all I really want out of this life from here on out because that's the only currency that matters to me. I don't care about
Bingo.
material things.
Bingo.
I need the
Bingo.
material in order to come in so I can help more people. I want to be the cup that
Yeah.
fills other cups. This is
Can I
part of
touch
my
upon that? Can I touch upon that real quick? And that's very important that you said this because let's think about this for a second. What is around the corner that we all need to really be, I wouldn't say concerned about, but weary of, and that's AI. Okay. AI is gonna come is here, okay? It's taking a lot of jobs, right? What the fuck else do you have to do besides help other people? Literally. You ain't got no job, you ain't got no money, right? Become useful, become helpful. Help other people, and you will find currency in helping others. Literally. And
yeah.
I'm saying this because that's what we're all going to have to do. Like, you're just showing people, like, hey, this is how I'm helping people. Like, I'm talking about stuff. I'm putting my life on blast, like, because I'm experiencing things. I'm going through traumas. Shit is not easy. I'm literally getting beat down the by the universe, like however you want to call it, however you want to perceive it. But we're out here still doing this. We're like, the wounded healer, right? Where you got the nine spears in your back trying to protect that person, that's laying on the ground, like from getting any harm. But it's like it's not easy. And just so everyone is aware, like we're not talking about this because it's glorious to be going through the gutter. Like the fuck? Like, there's nothing glorious about going through the gutter. Like, but we all have to go through it at some point, unless you're a trust fund baby. And then you have a different gutter to go through because you got to go through all the gutter bureaucracy and to go through all that shit and the learning experience of that stuff. So, like, there's always a learning experience. And so the idea is like, yeah, no one's got this shit figured out. Even the people at the top. Turn on the TV and look what's happening in DC. They're all fucking going through it too, trying to figure out what the hell to do.
I think a common misconception in today's day and age, especially on the left, is this concept that of eat the rich and people hating on rich people and hating on like you said trust fund babies or they are trust me man, like life isn't easy for anybody even if you have money. I think this is the part of people like idolizing money is thinking, oh, because they have money that their life's so much easier. Like that's a fallacy, man. Like we need to get
Different set of
past this
problems.
concept of idolizing money itself and thinking that, oh, because and yeah, life's hard and it's a struggle, and most of us don't have money, and it'd be great to have money to solve some of these problems. But mo money, mo problems, motherfuckers. Like
Right, right,
there's a reason why that saying exists because when you get more money, there's more problems that come with it. Like money is not the fucking solving of your problems. Like
right,
if you want to idolize money and think that if you
right.
get money that somehow that your life is going to magically become this paradise, it's fucking bullshit. And you need to stop thinking that way. Like literally,
There's a
money is
thing.
money is a means to an end, but it's not. This is what we talked about before, man. It comes within, like fulfillment is within you, right? You're not going to get fulfillment just because you got money. Like, why do you think all these people go into these perversions and the P Diddy stuff? Like, do you think that P Diddy would be doing that stuff if the money made him happy? He's doing
Yeah.
that stuff because the money didn't make him happy, and he kept searching and he kept searching, and it turned into a perversion of darkness. Like literally, like
There's a
stop.
saying. There's a
What's
saying
up?
that says, if money is the only thing you're lacking, money isn't your problem. Right? Because like it's if you have a reason to lack money, like you have an intended goal or desire that you wish to execute with it, it's a tool, right? But if only thing you're lacking is money for the sake of money, then it's a problem. Like you don't need money. What you need is value, right? And so, and I'm telling you this now because this is uber important that people understand right now that the reason why all these things are taking place, right, with people are flipping out about government and departmental of government efficiency and all that stuff is because of value. It's not money, right? Money is the tool that those things were using, but they're not producing value. And so because they're not producing value, they gotta take the money away, right? If it was producing value, would they take the money away? No, because there's value. So people need to understand that right now the whole thing is about providing value, and what B and I are doing is a value. What we're doing is we're talking to you about real life shit that if it hasn't hit a home near you, it's coming, and you better buckle up. We're just giving you the heads up. That's all we're doing.
No,
So,
100%, dude. It's us dancing with umbrellas and people thinking, oh, well, it's not raining. But it's like we got our umbrellas for a reason, man, because we see it. We see that it's coming. And you better get your damn umbrella. And if you wonder why we're dancing with umbrellas and it's not raining, why don't you ask? Like seriously, like I just want to help people. If you get nothing else from this, like we're all going through Murphy's Law, man, and and navigating the challenges of life, and none of us have it figured out. But I can tell you this much: me and Alex have been through some things and have been enlightened with certain knowledge that could be very useful to you if you just reach out and like not saying that we have it all figured out, but we have more than most, and that's just the gift of what we have been given that we want to share with you. I want to be the cup that fills other cups. I'm not just sitting here to gorge on my own cup, you know? So I'm sitting here holding my cup out to God so that I can fill other cups, not so that I can gorge myself on the cup, because I understand that there's something more to this life than what's in the cup. So I
so
think
that
that's a
being
good
said,
place.
yeah, I think it's good. Keep checking back. We appreciate you. If you've watched all this, like, comment, subscribe. Check back and check the websites that we're gonna be putting in the link description below. We're definitely gonna be rebranding and relaunching some of those things. So look out for that. Make sure you check out B's merch store. You get some of his T-shirts, some of his paintings back there. I don't know if you're selling any prints of that, but you
Oh,
totally should.
yeah, Alchemystic Apparel. You can get this shirt, the Death Card, and along with a lot of other stuff, a lot of other shirts that I have. If you watch these episodes, you know the links down in the description. Alchemisticapparel.com. Pick up yours today. And here's a dog.
Oh, that's a beautiful doggy. That's a great note to leave it on. We love you guys. Have a great evening, day, night, good morning, good evening, good night.
Bye.
Love that
Bye.
dog.